Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki. Continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version, text number 37 onwards. So the Supreme Lord is further speaking, Brahmaji. Etanmatan samatishta paramena samadhina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu na vimuyati karichet. O Brahma, just follow the conclusion by fixed concentration of mind. And no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. So just follow this conclusion. Conclusion means the four Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and in fact the last verse of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, where the conclusion of perfection of human life is given as uh, pure devotion service unto the Supreme Lord. As in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole text in four verses, namely, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava, etc., to the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in four verses as Aham Ivasam Ivagre, etc. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavad Gita conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So ultimately, the whole knowledge, the whole conclusion comes from Krishna himself. There are many grammarians and non-devotee material wranglers who have tried to present false interpretations of these four verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Lord himself advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion the Lord had taught him. The Lord was the teacher of the nucleus of Srimad Bhagavatam in four verses, and Brahma was the receiver of the knowledge. Misinterpretation of the word aham by the word jugglery of the impersonalist should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as the Bhagavats, and any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotion service. So Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chatushloki, it starts with Aham Evasam Eva Agre. And Prabhupada is comparing that to the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, where he also starts with Aham, means the Supreme Person, personality of Godhead, is a person. He has a personality. He is not impersonal. So the impersonalists, Mayavadis, Brahmavadis, they try to give their own commentary, own interpretation of these verses, and they misinterpret it. And this is what Prabhupada is first coming to. Misinterpretation of the word aham by the word jugglery of the impersonalist should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a text for text of personality. But unfortunately, the impersonalist who has no relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead sometimes tries to interpret Srimad Bhagavatam by his poor fund of knowledge in grammar and dry speculation. So the impersonalist these days by Bhagavatam. But actually, Shankaracharya himself, who's the father of the whole school of impersonalism, he never dared put his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, write his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, because he knew the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with unalloyed devotional service, and devotional service is only for the Supreme Lord Krishna. He did write commentary on Vedanta Sutras, which is called Sharirak Bhashya, but he never wrote commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. But these days, the impersonalist scholars, although they have so-called followers of Shankaracharya, but they still tried. They dare to write the commentaries on Bhagavatam, and they try to interpret in a wrong way. Therefore, the Lord warns Brahma, and through Brahma, all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahmaji, that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly via the parampara system. So we should not be misled by the conclusions of these kind of people, but we should always fix our mind on the parampara system interpretation or the commentaries by the parampara system. So the point is, what I have understood is one should not become fanatic. One should be open to talk to people who are following this impersonalist school. First of all, one should be firmly fixed in our own philosophy given by Vaishnavacharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada. And then one should not be afraid of talking to people from other schools. Of course, we don't want to make them, we don't want to antagonize them. We don't want to uh, make them feel that we are superior. Of course, uh, they follow that philosophy of Shankaracharya, they feel they are superior. We follow philosophy of Mahaprabhu or Brahmaji or finally Srila Prabhupada. So we feel we are superior, but it should not come in our dealings. Dealing should be, we should approach very humbly everybody. Give them proper respect, give them proper respect. But at the same time, we should not be misled by their philosophy. For that, we have to be firmly fixed in our philosophy. We should have firm conviction that the Supreme Person is Lord Shri Krishna. The Supreme is not some Brahmjyoti. And the soul is eternally a servant of Krishna. Eternally means now, tomorrow, forever. And before that also. Forever we were a servant of Krishna. And again afterwards also we'll always remain servant of Krishna. Right now we just forgotten, that's all. We are never God. We are always servant of Krishna. The rest is all word jugglery. No one should try to give a new interpretation by dint of mundane knowledge. And the first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma is to approach a bona fide guru who is a representative of the Lord following the parampara system. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect mundane knowledge. The guru or the bona fide spiritual master is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. He does not attempt to juggle words to bewilder the student. The bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. So bona fide spiritual master does not attempt to juggle the words to bewilder the student. Have you ever listened to any impersonalist speaking their philosophy? Or have you ever had a chance to read any of their commentaries? Even just read one paragraph. Just try. And you will yourself see how confusing it is. It's all word jugglery. That's it. Nothing else. And Prabhupada in his commentaries, he has given everything so precisely, clearly, how everything should be. So, and Prabhupada never used any word jugglery. He is quoting the Shastras here and there, and predecessor Acharyas, especially Srila Jiva Goswami, he would quote him and then write his commentary. No word jugglery. That this might mean this, and this, I feel this means that. Nothing like that. And that is why there's so many people reading Prabhupada's books and getting attracted towards serving Krishna. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impulseless and wise speculators life after life and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by the development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. So this is what is going to happen when one is takes up the devotional service. That one develops or exhibits a development of detachment from the world of sense gratification because he starts getting connected or attached to serving Krishna. The mundane wranglers are surprised that one can detach himself from the world of sense gratification, and thus any attempt to be fixed in God realization appears to them to be mysticism. This detachment from the sensory world is called the Brahma Bhuta stage of realization, the preliminary stage of transcendental devotional life, Parabhakti. The Brahma Bhuta stage of life is also known as the Atmaram stage, in which one is fully self satisfied and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. So, this sense enjoyment, Prabhupada gave three names: Parabhakti, devotional, Brahmabhuta stage, or the Atmaram stage. Brahmabhuta stage means um, beyond the stage of bodily identification. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that stage is achieved. Mam chayo avyabhicharin bhakti yogena sevte sagunan samtitiyatan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That one who is engaged in avyabhicharin means unalloyed devotional service unto me, at once, at once becomes beyond transcendental to three modes and comes to the stage of Brahma Bhuta or Brahman at the stage of Brahman. Brahman means spiritual stage. So one is fully satisfied at that stage and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. For the impulseless, it's very difficult stage to attain. But for the devotees, it's easy because they have a person or they have a person they can relate to, or they have Rishikesha. They can use their senses to serve him instead of suppressing the desires of the senses or the working of the senses. The suppression never works. This stage of full satisfaction is a proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of God. Srimad Bhagavatam affirms this. Evam prasana manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata bhagavad tattva vijnana mukta sangyasya jayate. Thus, in the completely satisfied stage of life exhibited by full detachment from the world of sense enjoyment as a result of performing devotional service, one can understand the signs of God in the liberated stage. So this is what happens when one engages in devotional service. In this stage of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the science of God with all its confidential intricacies, and not by grammar or academic speculation. Because Brahma qualified himself for such a reception, the Lord was pleased to disclose the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. This direct instruction by the Lord to any devotee who is detached from the world of sense gratification is possible by the mercy of the Lord. So Brahmaji, because he was qualified, he performed tapasya and then he asked questions to the Lord and he waited and he received the mercy of the Lord. He got the realizations about the Lord's dham. So he had no attachment for this material world. Only attachment for him was to serve the Lord in the capacity the Lord was expecting him to serve. So Lord Himself, the Supreme Lord Himself, guaranteed Brahmaji that he will not fall in Maya. He will not get attachment towards this material world. So why? Because Krishna Himself says, "Unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in Lord's transcendental service, Priti Purvakam, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions so that the devotee may make accurate progress on the path returning home back to Godhead. One should not therefore try to understand these four verses of Bhagavatam by mental speculation. Rather, by direct perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to know all about his abode, Vaikuntha, as was seen and experienced by Brahmaji. Such Vaikuntha realization is possible by any devotee of the Lord situated in the transcendental position as a result of devotion service. So it's possible for any devotee of the Lord to get darshan of Vaikuntha planets, to get darshan of the Lord, to get darshan of the associates of the Lord. Brahmaji desires to worship the original personality of Godhead, as he stated in Brahma Samhita. Lord Shri Krishna, who resides in the topmost Vaikuntha planet known as Golok Vrindavan, where he is in the habit of keeping Surabhi cows as a cowboy, and where he is served by hundreds and thousands of gopis, goddesses of fortune, with love and respect. And this is Brahmaji's realization, which he penned down in Brahma Samhita. Therefore, Lord Shri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord, Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. This is also clear from his instructions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna and not directly Narayan or the Purusharthas, which are subsequent manifestations. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a sound representation of the Lord, as much as the Bhagavad Gita is. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is a science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. And this realization comes by the mercy of the Lord, depending upon the austerity, the penance one undergoes in performing devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. Anyway, I'll stop here. I'll see you all. I'll send a message lecture again tomorrow. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.